To have you take your seats. Can everyone hear me at the back? Yes? Thumbs up. Excellent, excellent. Good evening. My name is Susan Crawford, and I am the chair of the Brampton Board of Trade for 2014. I'd like to welcome you to our live Mayoral debates. I'd like to thank all of the candidates who are joining us. They'll be introduced in a minute by J. Paul Massey Singh. I'd like to thank you for agreeing to participate and for allowing our business community to hear more about your vision for our city and for our local economy. I'd like to take a moment just to send out a special thanks to our moderator tonight, J. Paul Massey Singh. J. Paul, if you've been watching Rogers, you'll know that J. Paul has been at the forefront of all of the debates for our council and mayoral candidates, and he's gone above and beyond in terms of helping us to put these debates on. So just a round of applause for J. Paul. I'd also like to send out a special thanks to Sheridan College, who is hosting this event, obviously, but also has donated their staff time and security and all of the AV that you see tonight. So we're very grateful that you allowed us into your facility, and also that you have been so generous with your time. And on that note, I'd like to ask Ralph Ben-Murgy, who's the executive advisor to the president, I was just saying that's the coolest title, to come up and say a few words in introduction. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and welcome to Sheridan. If you haven't been here before, welcome, and come back and show up. We have wonderful things. Brampton is our largest campus, 9,500 full-time students. Absolutely. And I can say unreservedly, it's my favorite campus to come and work in of the three we do, because the energy here is absolutely fantastic. The kids are on fire. The faculty is so motivated. We just did a wonderful event downtown. We did a creative hub event with 3D printing and robotics and laser cutters, and had about 200 people show up right downtown at the library, and that's just part of the kinds of activities that we're doing with the City of Brampton. And the Board of Trade we've been doing a lot of things with as well, and having people come, business people come to see what kind of opportunities there are at every different level here. At Sheridan we have four-year degree programs, we have college diploma certificates, one-year grad certificates. There's all kinds of activity, and we're so proud of it and so happy you could come here for this. The important thing for us is that we are building not just a student who can get a job in 6 months when they leave. It's about building citizenship into our students and creativity into our students. You know, a taxpayer has customers' rights. I'm a taxpayer, give me my stuff, I want my stuff. But a citizen has obligations and duties as well, and we're really intent on making sure that our students understand that it's not all about what they can get, it's what they have to give, and this is part of that process, the political and democratic process of getting people together who care enough that they want to run for the leadership of this city and do something important, and I think all of these people deserve a round of applause for their commitment to this cause. I'm not going to take any more of your time except to say thank you on behalf of our president, Jeff Zabutsky. He had another obligation that was in there way before we ended up doing this, so he asked me to come up and say a few words on behalf of the institution. And don't think me rude, but I got a 9 and a 5-year-old over there that I got to get back into a car and get home before they implode, and you don't want to see that. So on behalf of Sheridan, welcome, thank you, and anything you need from us, you just let us know. We're here to serve this community. And here's J. Paul Massey Singh.
So welcome, everybody. Thank you very much for attending tonight, whether you're joining us here in person or watching on the live stream right now or watching this later on. We really appreciate your interest in this event and in determining the leadership of our city for the years to come. The purpose of this debate is to give our viewers the opportunity to better know the candidates running for mayor and learn where they stand on key issues today. So we're pleased to be joined today by 5 candidates, starting on my immediate left, Jacqueline Bell. Hargi Randhawa. Don McLeod. John Sanderson. And Linda Jeffrey. Prior to the debate, the candidates drew numbers to determine the order in which they'll be speaking. Each candidate will have the opportunity to make an opening address, after which time our panel of committee members will direct questions to the candidates for them to answer. Sitting on our panel today are Susan Crawford, Chair of the Brampton Board of Trade, Mike Vieira, the Executive Vice President of the Davis campus for the Sheridan Student Union, and Evan Moore, our Vice Chair of Policy and Government Relations for the Brampton Board of Trade. At the conclusion of the question period, each of the candidates will have an opportunity to make a closing address once again directly to you, our audience and viewers. Now, based on the introductions and how you responded, I know everyone's excited to see how this event unfolds and wants to make sure that they have an opportunity to have their voices heard. Out of respect to the candidates and to your fellow audience members, I'm going to ask please to refrain from any cheering or commentary during the course of the debate. We know everyone has opinions to share, however, and if you'd like to share them, please use the hashtag BBOT debate, go onto social media, share what it is that you have to think. Also, as you entered the debate this evening, you should have received a small survey where you have an opportunity to indicate who you think did best tonight and share that with the rest of our community. So please, if you have an opportunity before you leave tonight, please be sure to fill out that survey and deposit it on your way out. With all that said, the individual who drew the first number to lead off our debate is Jacqueline Bell, and I now turn it over to her. Ms. Bell?
Good evening. How are you? Thank God that I made it here today. It was a rough day. I'm just going to say that despite the recent derating that Brampton received, I suppose that the city still has some great cachet based on the rate of its current growth. My name is Jacqueline Bell, and I would like you to vote for me. I have been living in Brampton since 2006, September the 11th rather, of 2006. And I went to university here in Ontario. I attended Ryerson University. I also attended York College for finance, and I attended George Brown College also for international trade. I'm running on the platform of saying that I would like to cut wasteful spending at City Hall, which would include cutting councillors' discretionary spending. I am also looking at creating jobs, things in healthcare, concerns around healthcare, and I have a couple of ideas around things to do in improving education. And the reason I'm even speaking on education is because we have a poverty concern in Brampton. And one of the ways to help alleviate the concern of poverty is to make a shift and do things in a different way. And that different way that I'm talking about is beginning to teach French immersion starting in kindergarten. Why? Because everyone knows it's the right thing to do and it's the proper way to teach it. We're not teaching it so that children are bilingual. The benefit would be that we would be the only municipality in the GTA who are doing so, and the children who then graduate from school, let's say when they reach grade 4, they should be bilingual. By the time they finish high school, they'd have the full skill sets. In addition, they should learn entrepreneurship, and they should also, they should learn entrepreneurship and learn investing. On the educational front, the other persons who are on assistance should also be taught entrepreneurship and investment, because no matter how much you earn, you can do better.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. That's your time to start. We'll come back to some of your ideas. Mr. Randhawa, how would you like to lead us off?
Good evening. Hello, my name is Hargi Randhawa. As a long-time Brampton resident, having raised my family here and established my business for a long time, I'm very concerned about the future of this city. I know I'm not alone. You and everybody out there is also tired from complaints scandals at City Hall, lack of transparency, accountability. I want a mayor who can address these concerns. Our population has grown enormously, but our infrastructure lacks. Face of Brampton has changed, but face of City Hall and those who work in public sector does not reflect diversity. Our city leadership is responsible for 10 years of missed opportunities. Brampton needs an honest mayor who is committed to restore the public trust and is ready to lead city by example. As a mayor, I will immediately replace dysfunctional audit committee with a functional one who will meet more regularly. There will be no credit card for council or city staff. Zero-based budgeting policies be adopted immediately. Unfair hiring practices will be replaced with one will offer equal opportunity to all. I will eliminate any unnecessary red tape and outdated business policies so our businesses can flourish and can create jobs and add to our tax base. Brampton can be a great place to live, work, and raise a family. When politicians are in office for too long, they run out of ideas and they become complacent. It's time for change. It's time for real change that need a fresh face with energy and new ideas. I'm Hargi Randhawa. On October 27, vote and elect a mayor for taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Randhawa. Mr. McLeod.
My name is Donald McLeod, and I'm running for Mayor of Brampton. I've lived in Brampton for over 22 years, been married over 26 years. I've been self-employed for over 10 years. Before that, I was a purchasing manager at a Tier 2 automotive stamper for over 15 years. I spent 9 years in the Canadian military, regular and reserve force. The reason I'm running is because I, like the majority of hard-working taxpayers of this city, are disgusted at the current culture of entitlement, the flagrant misuse of our tax dollars, and the lack of any accountability or responsibility shown by the mayor and all members of this council. As a result, our city's reputation has been seriously damaged and ridiculed. I believe the citizens of Brampton deserve a higher standard of ethics, a higher standard of accountability, and a higher standard of integrity. For too long, incumbents and professional politicians have stubbornly clung to power, blocking the chance for bright, innovative minds any opportunity to enact new and original ideas. They've made politics a career and a mockery of the term public service. They're the ones responsible for the mess we're in. They've had plenty of opportunity to correct and deal with the problems that lay before us, but they've done nothing but give vacant promises and excuses. It's time to move Brampton forward and lay a new foundation, a solid foundation that will build a better Brampton for all of us. On October 27th, you, the citizens of this city, will be standing at a crossroad. You can choose to elect professional politicians that have continually offered empty promises and false rhetoric, or you can choose to elect a dynamic mayor that will lead Brampton into the future and usher in a new era of accountability and integrity. We need to get Brampton back on track. Brampton needs a mayor that will stop the reckless and ill-planned urban sprawl that has denigrated the livability of this city. We need to develop healthy communities. We need to concentrate on providing solid, good-paying opportunities for our young people. We need a mayor that will invest and nurture small and medium-sized businesses.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. McLeod. We'll have time to come back to your ideas a little bit later in the debate as well.
Not a problem.
Mr. Sanderson.
Thank you very much. I'm John Sanderson. I was born and raised in Brampton. I married my grade 4 sweetheart. We've been married for 45 years this year. I have 2 kids and 5 lovely grandkids. I love Brampton. I love the strength of our city. I've lived here all my life. And I have known firsthand the strength of good people who call Brampton their home. I'm not a career politician. I'm proud to have been a businessman for 30-odd years, and I'm pleased to have served as president of the Brampton Excelsiors, the Brampton Board of Trade, and the Ontario Waste Management Association. I was honored to have been chosen Business Person of the Year by the Brampton Board of Trade. I appreciate the experience, the history, and the diversity of opinions that my council colleagues bring to the table. I was privileged to have 5 of them stand by my side when I registered to run for mayor. Despite the drama and the distraction in the current mayor's office, councillors have achieved a record that we can be proud of. And I'm particularly proud of taking the lead on bringing the Air Canada Global Operations Centre to Brampton. Our record is clear, our community is strong, and we have served the taxpayers of Brampton well. I'm running to be your mayor because I have a vision for our city, for our future, and most importantly, for the citizens of Brampton. I understand this city, its challenges, and its people. Respect for every person who calls our city home is my bottom line. I will focus my attention on accountability and transparency from the outset. I will post all expenses from the mayor's office online every month. You'll know where I am because I'll also post my public schedule online. I will not accept a $50,000 a year limousine service, and I will reduce my salary by $50,000. We need clear and credible leadership. My plan is to help lead Brampton to a greater economic vitality. If what matters to you is new leadership, real change, and credibility, then October 27th, with your support, I will be your new mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanderson. Thank you. And lastly, Ms. Jeffrey.
Thank you, J. Paul. This election is about change. Our city is currently facing a crisis of confidence. Over the past year, we've seen a dysfunctional council lurch from one scandal to another. Earlier this year, people urged me to run for the position of mayor, and I accepted the challenge. We are facing big issues that need real solutions to the problems that we all face. During the campaign, I've met with many in the business community, and I've heard how difficult it is to do business in Brampton. My first priority is to repair the tarnished reputation of Brampton City Hall, ensuring that investors and employers have confidence and trust in our city's leadership. As mayor, I will reduce the burden of doing business in our city. I will champion a culture of customer service at City Hall, one that is designed to be consumer and business friendly. We need a City Hall that supports businesses. I have the experience to deal with the key issues facing Brampton, like gridlock, economic development, and I will hold the line on taxes and get our city working. To do that, we need real leadership in people that we trust. I have a plan with a vision that can be delivered. Tonight in this debate, I hope to share my plan with you. Together, we can deliver change for a better Brampton. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Jeffrey. We'd now like to turn it over to our panelists to ask some questions of our candidates. Ms. Crawford, what would you like to ask first?
This question is going to be directed to Mr. McLeod. The majority of the Brampton Board of Trade members are small businesses. What do you see as the biggest challenge facing small and medium-sized businesses in Brampton? And what is your plan to address this challenge or challenges?
I think a lot of problems with the small and medium-sized businesses is there's not enough direction from City Hall on what kind of businesses that we need to develop in this city. I was talking to someone before about we need to bring back manufacturing. Manufacturing sector is one sector that I know very well, being in a Tier 2 automotive in my business right now. This is not an industry that's going to come back anytime soon, not in Ontario, not in Brampton. We need to develop new small and medium-sized business incubators that develop high-growth, high-impact industries. Here at Turin College, you have a 3D technology. 3D technology is one of the fastest growing technologies in the world. It's going to be connected to hospitals. We need to develop healthcare. Healthcare is it's a $6 billion growing industry. We have plenty of opportunities, but we need help from City Hall. We need help from the Brampton Board of Trade. We need mentor programs. We need community development and employment agencies. All these connected together will bring businesses into this city. But small and medium-sized businesses are actually what drives the economy. Over 70% of our GDP is actually created by small and medium-sized businesses. That is the engine, not big corporations. What we don't need in Brampton are businesses that actually employ part-time, low-paying wages with no benefits. These are businesses that get up and walk away whenever they want to. And there's nothing but economic devastation left behind.
Thank you, Mr. McLeod. Thank you. Let's hear from some of our other candidates on this one. We'll get back to you if you'd like to comment further.
No problem.
Mr. Randhawa, your comments on small to medium-sized businesses in Brampton?
I think message we're getting from City Hall for businesses that City Hall is not open for business. Employment land is compromised to build more housing. Nothing been done to attract more businesses in the last 10 years. In 10 years, I've been seeing there hasn't been many industrial buildings gone up, and they are the major driving force for employment in any economy. We look at our neighbors, what they have done, how successful one has been. Just look on the east side of our Brampton's boundary. There has been city of opportunities. Hundreds of buildings have gone up. We haven't reached out to business. Our mayor or our council just been too busy just putting up houses out there and be in a pocket of residential development.
Thank you,
So
Mr.
we need-
Randhawa. Mr. Randhawa, that's your time on that one. Ms. Jeffrey, you wanted to comment?
You know, if we don't stop the stem of jobs leaving our community, it's going to be really hard to attract anybody new. When I was an MPP, I weekly used to see businesses come in and say, I'm thinking of leaving Brampton. And when I called the city of Brampton, it would take them 2 weeks to get back to a small business. Most small businesses have already partially made the decision by the time they tell you, you need to act quickly. City Hall right now does not even have the digital capability to support businesses that Mississauga does. So if you want to do anything online and do it quickly, get a permit, find out what the zoning is for a small business. To bring your business to Brampton, you're unable to do that. We don't have a customer service friendly atmosphere at Brampton, and right now businesses are choosing not to come to Brampton. I think it's part of the distrust of what's happening at City Hall and the worry, because I think all businesses like security. They also like to know that things can happen in a timely fashion. Time is money for small business, and if we can act quickly, we can retain the businesses we want and certainly attract more businesses if there's a change at City Hall.
Thank you, Ms. Jeffrey. Mr. Sanderson, your thoughts on the issue?
Thank you very much. As a former businessman myself, I know how important it is to keep business going, keep it afloat, and keep it in the community. On my platform, it's been there since February the 10th, and it states that I will encourage and also work on incentive programs to keep small to medium-sized business, not only in Brampton, but to bring business to Brampton. As I said on my opening statement, I was responsible for bringing the Air Canada Global headquarters here to Brampton. I find it interesting that Ms. Jeffrey said that when she was an MPP, that she used to get all these calls to her office. I don't recall getting one of those calls, but in 10 years, I guess you wouldn't necessarily get those. When you take a look at the Conference Board of Canada, they gave Brampton a D in its ranking of the Canadian cities. Looking at the indicators, including education, health, and the economy, which is jobs, the Conference Board confirms what Brampton residents already know, that Linda Jeffrey, while she was Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing at the province, did nothing. She did nothing to keep jobs in Brampton. As a matter of fact, I'm interested to see what she has to say about moving business out of Brampton by moving it up to Caledon with the Canadian Tire plant.
Thank you, Mr. Sanderson.
By giving them a special order.
Thank you,
in
Mr.
order for them
Sanderson.
to
Ms.
move
Jeffrey,
on.
would you like to respond?
Well, since I've been named, I would argue with Mr. Sanderson. Are you really going to hang your hat on that one thing that you keep talking about? Surely your record, you must have achieved more than the Air Canada deal. At the end of the day, I have a proven record of results for residents of Brampton and Peel, and I can go through that list, but certainly it's $2.9 billion. I don't think that's nothing. It's healthcare, it's education, it's social services. Perhaps you didn't respond quickly enough to any phone calls of businesses in your community. You should be ashamed of that record, but certainly this community knows what you've been able to do. They're going to judge you on that record on October 27th.
Mr. Sanderson.
Thank you, and I was named there too, and certainly I'm going to hang my hat on anything that takes business away from Brampton, and I'll certainly do that as long as I can. And I still say, Ms. Jeffrey, that you did not ever mention to me, and we used to talk on a regular basis, because as you recall, I used to call you and talk to you, or try to talk to you. I'd go to your office and sit with you and your staff member here and try to talk to you about the problems that are going on in Brampton, and you turned your back on Brampton. You did nothing to help Brampton. And you know, when you talk about all the good things that you did for Brampton, what about all the other things that went on in the province of Ontario that cost all us taxpayers all this kind of money?
Thank you. Well, how about we get another perspective on this issue? Ms. Bell, would you like to comment?
43% of the citizenry of Brampton have a certificate or diploma or higher training. So my thoughts on the problem would be that yes, we do create an incubator and we promote entrepreneurship among the persons who wish to do so, who are current residents, who have a vested interest in staying in Brampton and growing Brampton. Additionally, what attracts businesses to a city would be something called the Canadian Index of Well-Being. It's based on 8 domains of well-being, and it's something that was created by a university here in Ontario, Waterloo. Some of the dimensions include democratic engagement, like we're having tonight, community viability. If you want to know more about the individual domains, you can call me. You have my number, you have my contact information. Things like time use, living standards, leisure and culture, a healthy population, and education. Now, the additional thing that I'm looking at is the fact that Brampton has the title of Flower City. Now, that works for a couple months of the year. If we're gonna use that and continue with it, we need to do something more. My recommendation is that we pursue tourism as one of the city's initiatives. It can be paid for on a variety of different levels. In using tourism, I'm looking at something like what would you call it? A greenhouse, a botanical garden, a jungle, something that's huge, humongous, I will use that word, and an architectural marvel.
Thank you.
So that
Thank you,
it's
Ms.
a
Bell.
space where people
Thank you,
can
Ms. Bell.
walk.
Mr. Randhawa, you wanted to comment further?
Conference Board of Canada studies name been taken here. It was a City Magnet 3 study where Brampton ranked lowest into education, which was a D. And out of health, out of 50 leading cities, we were ranked 49th. And I would say not only Susan Fennell, the whole council, and Linda Joffrey. She been political minister of Brampton. She was directly elected by constituents, not appointed by council. They all have equal responsibility. Linda has ability to deliver university for Brampton. That would have created jobs. University construction would have created jobs. Functioning of university would have created long-lasting job. That would build us a society with credible, educated people, love to live here, and build us a healthy, prosperous society. I say again, Council and Linda Joffrey, they both failed for Brampton. They both let Brampton down.
Thank you, Mr. Randhawa. Ms. Jeffrey, did you want to respond?
We did talk about the Canadian Tire example, and I would say it was pretty startling to me as a Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing to learn from the town of Caledon that 1,000 jobs were on the verge of leaving Brampton. Not one member of council came to talk to me about that. That's very serious when 1,000 jobs are poised to leave your province, let alone your community. The City of Brampton had a responsibility to come and talk to me. I never heard from them. So the argument that there were regular conversations, there may have been, but my advice was not always followed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jeffrey. Mr. Randhawa, one last comment, last word's yours.
Don't expect City of Brampton to come talk to you. You are directly elected by people of Brampton. It's your responsibility.
Yeah.
Employment is not entirely city's responsibility. It's combined city, provincial, and federal. And the province budget is far bigger than city, and they have resources, to deliver for people. And where our local MPP, minister, political minister, she failed for people of Brampton.
Thank you, Mr. Randhawa.
I would like to concur with that because
Ms. Bell, we're just going to move on to the next question. We'll get an opportunity to speak to it. We gave you an opportunity to speak. We're going to get to as many questions as we can this evening. Mr. Vieira, where would you like to take our discussion?
Not a problem. This question is directed at Don McLeod. Does Brampton offer youth adequate social, educational, and work opportunities? How will you contribute to providing opportunities to young people to develop as leaders in our community?
I think that's an important question. The youth in this city we have a high rate of unemployment. I think it's 20%. between of all youth, which is not a good sign for a city. Part of my plan is we need to engage, and it comes back for the employment opportunities to small and medium-sized business incubators. There's a lot of smart, young people in this city that actually work outside of this city. I met one guy, he's an urban planner, and he works in Toronto, but he lives in Brampton. I said, well, that's exactly what type of person that we actually need in Brampton, is an urban planner, because we haven't had it for the last 15 to 20 years. We need to actually engage a lot of the young people to stay in Brampton. And for that to happen, we have to give them incentives. We have to do startups with them. We have to give them 6 months free rent. Whatever it takes to stay in this city to actually build the city up. And yes, there are economic indicators that young people will stay in a city and they're looking for good transportation, a good cultural life, a vibrant city. There's all sorts of things that these people are looking for that Brampton doesn't offer at this point in time. And that's what we have to do to be able to bring and keep our young people in this city. There's a lot of young people, once they leave, they go to Guelph University, whatever university, they stay in those towns because they're vibrant towns and they offer a lot more than Brampton does. Brampton doesn't offer them anything but a bedroom community. There's nothing here to keep them here. And that's the problem with Brampton. We built up as a bedroom community over the years and we haven't developed. City Hall has let down a lot of people and a lot of businesses because they haven't had the foresight to be able to go and think positively 10, 20, 50 years in the future. You have to be able to give businesses and the young people an opportunity to be able to set up shop here, and they'll stay locally.
Thank you, Mr. McLeod. Ms. Bell, would you like to comment on opportunities for youth?
I guess there are two facets to consider. There are some youth who have dropped out of not university, but have dropped out of high school, and so they don't have the education that they require. And then what I'm hearing from parents when you go door to door is, oh, my son or daughter, they did attend university, they did attend college, but they can't find a job. So what I'm proposing for one portion of that is that instead of City Hall just doing regular renovations, is that we create the Canada Brampton Youth Corp. And what they would be responsible for doing is becoming solar engineers. Those of them who choose to do so. In doing that, the idea is for us to put solar panels on places like hospitals, schools, recreation centers, libraries, government facilities, things like that. So they would learn, then they would go someplace to another location, maybe nationally, internationally. They would teach another person or a group how to do it. So the idea is that they learn, they earn, they teach, and they network. So by the time they finish in the program, they're then either able to get a job or create a job. The whole idea with the networking part of it is for them to be able to create a job. So we need people creating jobs.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. That's your time for that question. Ms. Jeffrey?
You know, when I talk to young people in Brampton, they tell me, I say, when you want to have fun, where do you go? You don't go to Brampton. Right now, they're going to Toronto, they're going to Mississauga. So I dream of a day, because we're talking about social opportunities and the energy of a community. I dream of a day when people say, let's go have some fun, let's go to Brampton. But I don't think we're there yet. I think there are opportunities, and I think that there are lots of things we need to do for our young people. Hopefully a university, should we be successful with an application following the election. But right now we don't have that opportunity. We missed the opportunity to bring the Pan Am Games here. There have been opportunities that this council has failed to seize upon that would have brought opportunities for young people. We have a stubbornly high unemployment rate for young people. That has to be something we work on collectively, whether it's business, City Hall, other levels of government, because our youth are our future, and when they leave, they don't come back. So I want our young people to stay. I've met with some interesting young people a few days ago, Lab B, who are innovators and digital experts, and they've got a whole passion that I think we need in our young people. And I look forward to working with them and finding opportunities at City Hall to engage them and to keep them here.
Thank you, Ms. Jeffrey. Mr. Sanderson, any comments on what the current council has been able to deliver?
I love working with the youth, and I also like helping the seniors. I've helped a number of young couples open up a business in the downtown. When you take a look at T by Daniels, for instance, very successful, very energetic young couple that's opened up on downtown in Brampton. There's another one right next door. What we've done at the City of Brampton, we have a committee at the Economic Development Office, ESPEC, that they actually do train young people in order to get into business. We at the Economic Development Office, and as well as some of the elected officials, have encouraged landlords in the downtown to give these young people a chance in order to so they could open their business. They've given them some free rent, give them some leverage there. They've done very well. They're well on their way. I'd like to encourage that more and more around the whole city. I've said right on my website right from day one that I encourage to help small to medium-sized business to thrive. I encourage to get out and give some incentive programs in order to let that happen. I can't say enough about trying to retain business in Brampton, rather than if you lose one and a new one opens, you don't really gain much. I believe in corporate calling. When I was president of the Board of Trade, and even prior to being president of the Board of Trade, I did a number of corporate calling calls with the Director of Economic Development. I would continue to do that out of the Mayor's office to make sure that we capture these people before they leave town.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sanderson.
Thank you.
Mr. Randhawa, over to you. What would you do if you were elected mayor to create a climate that's constructive for business and youth opportunities?
Youths are our future. They are a flower. If we don't look after, there won't be fruit for the future. For them, we need to create job opportunity. We need to attract employment. We need to create apprenticeship program, co-op programs. We need to create life, make city vibrant so they all enjoy live here. Just a sleeping community is not enough. Few things I offer in my platform is one, free trade zone. Work with the federal government, establish a free trade zone. We are next to airport. We are next to CP loading dock, and we are next to CN. All the infrastructure is there. There's no reason why we not be able to attract the employment. All we have to offer leadership to be able to offer property tax incentives the way it's done in the US. So secondly, Brampton is the largest concentration of South Asian population, and I want to convert diversity into prosperity. Few things I'll offer: upcoming two sports leagues possibilities, maybe one for kabaddi and one for cricket. I want Brampton to be host. So there's a life in here. Young people are able to play, participate, and that will create further life, bars, restaurant. There will be activity for young people, and that will help keep our youth here.
Thank you, Mr. Randhawa. Mr. McLeod, why is it that we've failed to deliver opportunities for our youth thus far? Everyone agrees that things need to change. Why are we where we are?
Well, because, I mean, you take a look at what kind of businesses that the City Hall has attracted. I mean, you know, we got Walmart, Home Depot. I mean, these are low-paying jobs, part-time, no benefits. It's great for the company. And most of the money that these companies actually get goes to it goes outside the country or it goes to another province. It's not locally retained money. Small and medium-sized businesses are what actually retains money locally. And that's what you have to develop. You have to develop these companies, because what you do is you actually help people in more than one way. You actually help them progress the city, you make it more dynamic, and at the same time, by keeping that local money local, you create a bond between small and medium-sized entrepreneurs. They don't easily leave and go to different cities. They set up in Brampton. If they thrive and survive in Brampton, they'll actually open up another place in Brampton. You mentioned Daniel's Tea. I agree with you. This guy he's a positive, he's great, he's energetic, he's enthusiastic. That's what we need. We need more young people like him, but we need to give a lot of young people the opportunity to be able to have that business in downtown or wherever we want to build it. And that's where City Hall comes in. You don't have to rely on the provincial government to create businesses. It's up to you if you come up with innovative ideas that can actually move things along. There's many different ways to do it, but you have to have innovative ideas and you have to have the political will to act on it.
Thank you very much, Mr. McLeod. Mr. Moore, where would you like to take the conversation?
This question is for Linda Jeffrey, and it relates to the discretionary spending issue currently facing council and the mayor's office. And the question is specifically, should current city council and the mayor repay the amounts identified by Deloitte as being a breach of city spending policies? Do you support the current process adopted by council to hire another auditor to engage in a dispute resolution process?
So you've asked a lot of questions. I'm going to try and tackle them as I can. I believe in accountability and transparency, and I think it's been clear from the very beginning that this council was reluctant to take any advice. Remember, they didn't want to have an integrity commissioner, and then they reluctantly hired one, and then they fired him because they didn't like the advice. Then they got another integrity commissioner, one that works for 8 other communities that we actually pay him more than the 8 other communities. You know, I'm going to leave the investigation to the OPP as to what people need to repay and what the consequences will be following their investigation. I just know that as a former councillor and as an MPP and as a former cabinet minister, all of my expenses were posted online. They were posted on a regular basis. I believe in a lobbyist registry. It's something I've been talking about. I believe in bringing in a third party to come in and tell us what the actual numbers are at City Hall. I don't actually have confidence in what this council is telling me as to the state of the finances. I think the mayor is certainly receiving very healthy compensation. It's not something that I would follow if I was to be the mayor. I believe the mayor should not be paid more than the Premier of Ontario. I think the mayor should earn exactly what I did as a former minister, which is $165,800. I would work for exactly that. I'm not playing any games. There's 2 salaries. One's a city salary, one's a regional salary. Collectively, it would be that amount. But I think until we get a new council in, we're not going to be able to provide that accountability and transparency that residents expect that we will provide when spending their tax dollars. Because it all starts at the top. If the people at the top don't respect the tax dollars, the employees believe that they can do other things that are outside the rules because there's no consequences. There need to be consequences.
Thank you, Ms. Jeffrey. Mr. Randhawa, you wanted to comment?
Yes. Linda, you talk about transparency. Good, everybody talking about that. But how you can talk about if you yourself fail to act when you had opportunity to do something good for the sake of Brampton? After the last election, in November 2010, Bruce Hayne wrote a letter, 10 pages letter about mayor's conduct, mayor's gala, the way money been funneled through friendly charities, mayor's golf classic, and the way city resources been used, and the city staff like police deputy chief and senior bureaucrats been used, money been sucked from city and regional departments. And to me, they were all criminal investigation required. The letter was written to Chris Bentley then, and it was CC'd to you as well to all the MPP. You chose not to respond, not to act. How you can claim that you be a mayor that will work for transparency and accountability, and you stand by that when you had opportunity to act and you failed to do so?
Ms. Jeffrey.
So, Mr. Randhawa, I'm not in the practice of taking letters that are sent to the Attorney General and jumping over any investigation he would do. It is irresponsible for me to react to accusations that have not been proven. And it's irresponsible for you to be bringing up those issues now when you don't have any of the facts in front of you. I trust that our provincial police will be doing an in-depth investigation, and following the election, if I'm successful as mayor, I will bring in a third-party oversight to give you and the rest of Brampton residents the confidence that what you're hearing is the truth.
Thank you, Ms. Jeffrey. Mr. Randhawa, go ahead.
Yes, but had you acted then, the problem we having today wouldn't be to that extent. It's due to your inaction. How you can claim that you could be a best mayor? Now you have all love for the city of Brampton, and can you come up with your response? Sorry.
Is there a question there, Mr. Randhawa?
Yes. How she can claim that she be the mayor and stand for accountability, transparency, and the taxpayers of
I believe Ms. Jeffrey answered the question the way that she wanted to answer that question. Mr. McLeod, the question posed initially was, where would you stand on councillors and the mayor having to pay back those amounts that were deemed to be overspent, and where do you stand on the another auditor being appointed to investigate this?
Well, I think that all councillors and the mayor should pay back everything. That's number one. That's the first start. The OPP, and I understand that the Ontario Ombudsman is now actually going to investigate the city of Brampton and the spending practices. There's a lot in this Deloitte report that a lot of people haven't read. There's a lot of charges that actually could not be substantiated because, as the auditors have said, they did not have sufficient information to determine compliance. There's a lot more money in this report that the councillors should be paying back, but there is no evidence, which is incredulous to me. You have a limousine service with no records of where the limousine was used, when it was used for. I don't know what kind of businesses you guys are running, but if that was my business and I was renting out or leasing out a limousine to City Hall, I would definitely have some sort of logbook on when that vehicle was used and for what purpose. It's just incredulous. Your mind wants to explode when you read all the reports and stuff like that. Why they need another auditor to actually follow up the Deloitte, which is a respected audit company that's been in business for what, 100, 200 years? I mean, these, you know, what's the point? Now we're spending more money on top of more money.
Thank you, Mr. McLeod.
One more point.
Please go ahead.
Quickly. If any of these, John Sanderson says he's a businessman, if any one of his business employees had done what he has done, I guarantee you 100% he would not be employed at that company.
Mr. Sanderson, I believe it's yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Don, for that comment. I employed a lot of people, and I never did run into that problem because we did have oversight. So thank you for that comment. That's great.
You took the oversight away.
Thank you. Somebody took the oversight away. So I would just like to say that I find it really, really odd that letter that Mr. Randhawa is reading there, the report, the letter that was sent to Ms. Jeffrey, and she didn't act on it because it wasn't sent to her, it was sent to somebody else, but she is our representative. I don't quite understand. And it wasn't only the letter. Myself and another colleague on council actually went and visited her and her staff, and we got the same answer. It's not my job. It's not my job.
Ms. Jeffrey and then Mr. Randhawa? Ms. Jeffrey?
I don't quite understand what the job is if it isn't to protect the municipality, if we're going to take some legit concerns to them. You know, we talk about the integrity commissioner. You're absolutely right. Some people didn't want an integrity commissioner when the motion was put forward. It wasn't all council, it was some council, and it was happened to be the leader that didn't want it. So, there's some misinformation there as well.
Sorry to have spoken over you there for a moment there, Mr. Sanderson. I thought you were done. Ms. Jeffrey would like to respond, and then Mr. Randhawa, you wanted to comment.
So I've been, it's claimed that people came to see me and asked for my advice. I'd agree, you did come a couple times, John, but I would say you were in a way over your head. I gave you the best advice I could, you didn't follow it. That's a problem. You can lead a horse to water, you can't make them drink. As a former Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, my job was to work with 444 municipalities, and I saw the best of the best, and unfortunately, Brampton is not one of those best practices communities. It's a sad fact. I wish I could say better, but I certainly couldn't step in and treat my community with impunity and provide them with special treatment I would not provide any other community. So it was in my best interest to have local councillors know what the best course of action was. They didn't follow it.
Thank you. Mr. Randhawa, and then back to you, Mr. Sanderson.
Just get back to Mr. McLeod mentioned about council invoices out there, which mayor and councils owe money to city, supposed to pay in 60 days. In real world out there, if somebody take money, it's called stealing, right? And you be charged. And I can't understand why council mayor be treated differently than that. It's really stealing.
Mr. Sanderson?
Sorry, yeah, I just wanted to respond a bit to the, the advice that I got when we went to visit Ms. Jeffrey. You know, not my job is not really advice. I didn't know how to follow that. So the other thing is that Ms. Jeffrey talks about open and transparency. Prior to her going to the province, she was a city councillor. She actually went over in her budget there too, and another councillor had to pay her debt. So it's the same type of thing that we're going through right now, only in a different era.
Ms. Bell, let's get you in on the conversation. Should councillors be paying back? Should we have another auditor's report?
Well, in the interest of cutting wasteful spending at City Hall, I should certainly hope that after spending over $200,000 on the initial audit for 92 pages, that we ought not to need one, especially since the finance department won an award for their financial skills. I don't know what you would call it, but they won an award for the work that they do. So something is definitely wrong. If I were elected mayor, I would find out which municipalities are using best practices and apply those. I would have a stern conversation with the person in the HR department, because if it's an epidemic, it needs to be cut. I'd also wonder about the committee. There are committees that are responsible for some of these egregious overspending. And I would like to find out if we shouldn't be applying some sort of merit to certain departments at City Hall. That means if you do the job properly and correctly, then you are potentially going to get a raise. If there's incidents like these, then when it comes time for the special interest groups to be negotiating their pays and their raises and things like that, these things need to be taken into consideration. They need to be, because when I go door to door and I talk to people, what they say is my tax is going up, City Hall people are getting paid X amount of dollars and they get increases, but we're not getting it. So incidents like these are reasons why we need to really consider what's going on and find out what best practices are and apply those.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. Ms. Jeffrey, you wanted to comment further.
I just want to clear the air. I've been accused of breaking the spending rules. John, you've listened to gossip, you've repeated it twice, and you have no proof. The facts are, you broke the rules, and you're under a criminal investigation.
Mr. Sanderson, would you care to respond?
Well, I guess Mr. Councillor Pleshy's lying then, so I'll have to go back and revisit that, and I'm sure that he'll come up with the right answer. When people are cheaters, they normally hide under a blanket, and unfortunately, Ms. Jeffrey, that's what he told me, and I have no reason to disbelieve what he said.
Thank you, Mr. Sanderson. Ms. Crawford, what is it you'd like to ask our candidates next?
So this question is directed at Ms. Bell. Projections for Brampton's growth indicate that our population could be as high as 850,000 people in the next 20 years. What steps need to be taken today to ensure that the proper infrastructure is in place to create a vibrant city to both work and live in?
Well, that's phenomenal growth and a grand opportunity. One of the major concerns that we're having right now is transportation, and that would definitely be something that we need to plan for. Hospital and transportation, the hospital, I guess recreational facilities will follow as the housing and whatnot develops. Also affordable housing, because I don't know where the growth is coming from, if it's people within the city or within other cities coming into Brampton, or if it will be new immigrants who are coming in. So we would have to also look at education in our schools and see what sort of build out would be required for those. in the typical things, roads and whatnot. I mean, there's a planning department for all those sorts of things. So we would have to see what types of growth are planned for.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. Mr. Randhawa, how would you address the issues of Brampton's growth?
I will start with the official plan and secondary plan. Outlay, how we cannot develop the community, where the houses would be, where recreational facilities would be, where we need a hospital, where we need school, all these things. But end of day, to put that many people, you need a plan. You need a hospital. You need to provide jobs opportunity to those people. Start working immediately to attract more employers, more businesses in the community. Protect employment land, because we have to provide employment to that many people. I have seen many opportunities in the past where commercial land been converted to residential without even putting the rezoning application sign. And when local investors, they ask for same opportunity, that they didn't get the same answer from the planning department versus developer who already in works with the city, a relation with the city. When they inquired, they got that opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Randhawa. Mr. Sanderson, we're talking about specific steps to achieve work-life balance for the Brampton to come.
Thank you very much. One of the first things that I would do is I'd develop a downtown master plan. We've talked a lot about downtown over a number of years now, but we really haven't got anywhere. One of the reasons we had was because of our problems that we had with the Conservation Authority. We most recently got that, we've got that looked after, we've got that lifted a bit so we can start to develop in the downtown. I know people are sick and tired of hearing about the downtown, but if we don't have a downtown, then we don't have a heart in your city, and we need that. And now with the new redevelopment of Peel Memorial Hospital on the Queen Street corridor, with our downtown redevelopment and our Queen Street corridor, I can see nothing but redevelopment on the way out Queen Street. There's lots of land that's been sold recently, and it's all prime development land. So we're prime now to head out Queen Street with a bunch of new development. One of the things that we need is the infrastructure, is the road network. We have the 410 highway. That's basically one of the only major roads to get in and out of Brampton. And now it took how long to get it to come to Brampton? It come in little wee spurts all the way along. Finally we got it up to Highway 10. Which I think was a sad day in hell when that happened. It should have went right straight up. It shouldn't have gone up and clogged up Highway 10 at Snellgrove. It should have went right all the way up to Highway number 9. Now, most recently, the provincial government is announced, and they're starting, is to do some widening and HOV lanes on the 410 highway. Sadly enough, it's stopping at Queen Street. It's not going all the way up. It's stopping at Queen Street. Well, guess what, folks? When you're on your way home at night from work, you're going to be choked up on 410 at Queen Street because it's going to become into a funnel. It's too bad that we couldn't have went all the way up to the full length of the 410. We need other infrastructure. I know that the Region of Peel is working hard on all the underground infrastructure. We need to do a whole lot in the downtown. We should be able to get on with it now that we know that the LRT is not coming into the downtown. We need to work on some new rec centers throughout the city. On the east side, for instance, we need some new rec centers, a new rec center out there, I should say, not some new.
Thank you. That's your time for that question there, Mr. Sanders. We can come back to you if you want to comment further. Ms. Jeffrey, did you want to comment? And is it just a transportation issue? And where is Brampton on the LRT?
So I want to comment. I think the question was about infrastructure. It originally started as infrastructure. If you want to build infrastructure, you need 3 levels of government in order to be successful. You need the province, you need the feds, and you need municipal government all coming together. And Zoom is a good example, or as it was called when I first went to the province, Acceleride. And that $95 million by each level of government has resulted in a lot of buses and a lot of bus infrastructure that is being built now. It took 10 years. And that was a good working relationship we had at the beginning of the time I was at the province. I can't believe anybody would complain about the widening of the 410 highway, but here we are. The city is not at the table talking about LRT. Light rapid transit is not a discussion the City of Brampton is having because the City of Brampton did not provide clear direction to the province of Ontario. They said yes, then they said no, then they said maybe. We can argue about the route afterwards if we're in the game, but we're not in the game. In order to have successful cities, building infrastructure, you need somebody who has a good, positive working relationship with other levels of government. Our council has not had that relationship. And when the mayor had an hour with the premier earlier this year, and the premier asked Susan Fennell, do you want to talk about transit? Susan said, no. That's the wrong answer. You need to talk about a number of things. You need to have a checklist, a shopping list of all the things you want to talk about, whether it's HOV lanes, whether it's buses, whether it's LRT. All of these transit options, as well as GO, are part of how we're going to manage our future. But infrastructure is roads, it's hospitals, it's schools, it's all those things that bring the quality of life that we need. We need leadership that doesn't insult and demean other levels of government. It doesn't produce results.
Thank you, Ms. Jeffrey. Mr. Randhawa. Mr. Randhawa, how do we deliver these infrastructure projects for our community?
Well, I want to talk about to Linda Jeffrey. She's been Minister of Municipal Affairs. We all know that when it comes to region, Brampton has a very disproportionate representation at the region of Peel. There are 24 boards. Brampton has 7, Peel, Caledon has 5, and Mississauga has 12. Based on a population, our representation should be far more, and it entirely falls under the Minister for Municipal Affairs. While she was a minister, why she chose not to act in the interest of people of Brampton, because she was directly elected by people of Brampton, and it was her responsibility. Why she chose not to act when she had opportunity to act for the interests of people of Brampton.
Ms. Jeffrey, I believe the question has been posed.
I'm glad to be popular. Thank you. I just want to remind Mr. Randhawa, when this issue, Bill 186, came to the legislature in the first year I was there, I voted against the legislation because it hurt Brampton. I think they call that career limiting. Not a good idea to vote against your government, but I did it because my job was to represent you. So that's what I did. When I became the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, I was thrilled. I thought I can help my city. They're going to do the homework necessary in order to get that increased representation. The fairness that our community deserves. They didn't do their homework. They waited till the 11th hour, and now they want to turn the fingers back on the province, blame me, blame the province for not having done their homework. Much like the university, this council doesn't do its homework, has plenty of notice, knows what the rules are, but doesn't like the rules that are applied. Everybody else can follow the rules. Why can't this council follow the rules?
Thank you, Ms. Jeffrey. Mr. McLeod, your thoughts on the growth of Brampton and the infrastructure we need to provide?
Yeah, we're talking about infrastructure, and the biggest problem with infrastructure is how you plan a city. Brampton, I moved up here 22 years ago, and ever since then, all I've seen is poor planning. Brampton is a textbook example of how not to plan a city if you want it to be a livable city. Throwing up a bunch of houses with a smart center in the middle does not make a city. The further out you have urban sprawl, the more cost your infrastructure is. It costs you more to actually build outside. It costs more for roads, schools, and it's where you put those schools to make the city livable. The way we have them now is ridiculous. We needed an urban planner, but apparently what we do is we let the developers do whatever they want. It's going to take some time. The Queen Street corridor should have been worked on years ago. The Downtown Development Corporation has been down there for I don't know how long. Ever since I've been there, they've been trying to develop that downtown core. The Roman Forum was built quicker than that. If you have a floodplain problem, build it up 15 feet. It's not rocket science. It can be done, but it has to take the political will to be able to do it. That Queen Street corridor, you're going to have to densify that Queen Street corridor all the way along to Airport Road. You densify it, you have opportunity to actually increase and have small and medium-sized businesses all along that Queen Street corridor. That's what we should be looking at. If you're going to have more people come into the city, you have to have smart planning, not just planning.
Thank you, Mr. McLeod. Mr. Vieira, next question is yours. What would you like to ask?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I gotta you didn't come back to me.
I'm sorry, Mr. Sanderson, I didn't see you indicate that you wanted to get
I
in.
did.
I think there's going to be opportunities to continue talking. We've still got a fair bit of time. Why don't we let Mr. Vieira get the next question in, and we'll make sure you get an
I'll
opportunity to
forget
speak
what I'm
to
going
it.
to say.
Pardon me?
I'll forget what I was going to ask you.
I'd like to think our mayor's sharper than that, sir. Mr. Vieira.
Ready? Mr. Sanderson, this is for you.
I don't want to answer it now.
What is your vision of Brampton in the next 20 years? What would your top 3 objectives towards accomplishing this vision look like?
My vision would be, and it's on my platform and it has been there right since day one. My vision is the first 3 months in office, I will form a committee that's going to bring a university to Brampton. The committee would be made up of citizens, citizens, business people, and elected officials and staff. That would get everything in order for when the next realm of universities is going to be built in Ontario. We'd be prepared. My other vision is that we need to start planning on our 3rd hospital in the Northwest Brampton. We need also, in amongst all of that is jobs. Working on bringing jobs to Brampton, good quality jobs to Brampton. So we got the education, we got the economy, we got the jobs. You know, the growth side of things, I argue that we aren't turning industrial land into residential land. I'm very big on watching that. When I was president of the Board of Trade, they tried to do that out on Mississauga Road, and the Board of Trade went to as a delegation, and we stopped that. So the growth, the healthcare, the education part, crime and safety, I believe that we need to work with the Peel Regional Police, get some more frontline officers in the community that represent the community and look after that. Traffic congestion, $7 billion a year is lost in lost productivity across the GTA. That's pretty sad. We need to work on that. The province has been working with bringing I believe it's a 413 across Mayfield, and it's going to go from the Halton right straight across to the 400 highway over that particular way. It's going to alleviate a lot of pressure. There's another road that's going to come down the Bramwest Parkway that comes down from there. It ends up at Financial Drive, 401, 403, 407, and etc. We need to work with the province to get these jobs done. And one of the problems that we've had at the City of Brampton is our mayor and our MPP could not sit in the same meeting. As you heard Ms. Jeffrey say that when our mayor went and visited the premier, she didn't say he went and visited her because they couldn't sit in the same room together. So unfortunately, that's one of the reasons why Brampton has got shortchanged over the last number of years. I did hear her say when she first went to the province, we were able to get something done. But unfortunately, for a number of years, they could not sit in the same room. They're like 2 peas in a pod.
Ms. Jeffrey?
So, John, just to rectify the situation, because you don't know your facts, once again, you're speculating. I sat in the room with all the other MPPs, with Kathleen, and with our city manager. She obviously didn't share it with you. No surprise.
Neither did you just
But
now.
at the end of the day, we're being asked about the vision for Brampton. So I want to talk to you about what my vision for Brampton could be. What's our past? We used to be Flower Town. We used to be horticultural. Roses was our background with all the greenhouses. And then we became a community that was focused on the automotive sector, whether it was Ford or Chrysler. But we know that's not going to be our future. So we need to have a council that has a vision of where we could be. Because we know those jobs in the automotive sector are going to change and evolve, and certainly those companies are looking offshore, they're looking in Poland, they're looking in Mexico to place their jobs because they can get the jobs done more cheaply. I'd like to find a way to build on a biomedical or a health science center of excellence. We have Brampton Civic, which has just been built, 5 years old now, $1 billion of healthcare investment. We have Peel Memorial being rebuilt as we speak, 2 cranes on the site, a very good start. And now we're going to have an announcement shortly about Erin Oaks Kids, which is a facility that will replace 5 different facilities, and it'll be one of the largest ones in Peel that deals with brain-injured young people. One of the challenges we have as a community is we have a very high incidence of diabetes. I'd love to find a way to bring all that medical knowledge and expertise to our community and have us be a center of excellence. It could be part of a university opportunity, whether it's research, but if we don't have a vision, if we don't, you know, if you're a hockey parent like I used to be, if you don't go to where the puck is going to be, you never go anywhere. You sit on the bench, just like this council has been sitting on the bench waiting for business to come. We need to go out and get it. We need to seek it, and we need to have a dream and a vision
Thank
on
you.
how we can grow Brampton.
Thank you, Ms. Jeffrey. Want to get a few people else in on this one? Ms. Bell, your vision for Brampton in 20 years, and what are the steps that you'd want to first take on to get there?
My vision for Brampton is that it becomes an internationally known city. And how we would achieve that is I use the word exploit to, you know, irritate people and to get them discussing and talking about it. But we would exploit the diversity that is actually within Brampton right now. And what we would do, as I said in my opening speech, is that we would use initially education. We would use education to diversify ourselves from the rest of the GTA. That is something else that we can use to attract businesses into Brampton. The fact that we're offering something in our schools that other areas are not offering. Creating jobs and using the theme of the Flower City. So we would build an infrastructure that's based on tourism with a multifaceted complex. Affordable housing, I've mentioned that before. So all those things are ways that I would use to build out the vision that I have for Brampton.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. Mr. McLeod, your vision?
My vision goes back to planning. Again, the way we plan this city and the way it's developed is not exactly how you're going to end up with a vibrant, dynamic city. It's going to be quite hard to change the situation that we have, but we can actually develop new and innovative ways to make this city more vibrant. The Queen Street corridor is one that I'd like to see. I'd like to see a lot of development, increased density along that whole corridor. I'd actually like to see increased community engagement through community boards and commissions on how a city is planned and how each individual community can make it better. We need to increase for age-friendly and integrated assisted living. In the next 20 years, we're going to have a lot of seniors. What are they going to do? They're going to drive. We need to increase transportation options for these people. We need to give them community hubs where they can actually go. We need to increase bike paths, trails through the city. We need a healthier climate in this city. A lot of people, they go into certain hubs and they're little rabbit holes, they're little courts all over the place. You can't get to a grocery store without driving somewhere. You need to create small community hubs and you need to develop them so that it becomes a smaller, tighter neighborhood. You don't need to go and drive a half an hour to get groceries. That's a big part of my vision. There's a whole bunch of other stuff, but
We can come back to you, Mr. McLeod. That's your first stab at it there. Mr. Randhawa, did you want to comment?
My vision for city is a city of equal opportunities, where everybody has equal opportunity to work, raise their family, and live, and have a university where their kids can go to study near their families, attract employment. We have a decade worth of missed opportunities when it comes to employment because our council, City Hall, been busy just developing houses, and they did not have a time to meet commercial developers. I would give one example. When Target came to Canada, they were looking 45-acre of parcel where they can put their big warehouse. We didn't have any piece of land in Brampton ready to be built where they can start construction within 3 months, and they end up going to Milton. They have over there 1.5 million square foot facility. So that was a missed opportunity. We don't want miss opportunities like that. We are next to airport. What kind of opportunities we have? We have an international trade center. So we are the only city now left with employment land. I want to protect employment land, attract employment opportunity in trade and exhibition center. Be a perfect opportunity, because as business grow, we need it. Etobicoke has no land left, Mississauga has no land left, and we are next to 427 and 5-7 minutes away from airport. As well, Brampton is largely large concentration of South Asian community. I said it before, not to mean to offend anybody, that I like to see a league opportunity when it comes to kabaddi and cricket international leagues.
Thank you.
To be able to host
Thank you,
them
Mr.
and
Randhawa.
create.
We can come back to you. Mr. Sanderson, it seems a lot of the comments are around we don't have the right mix now. What would you do to make sure that we have the right mix going forward? Why are we in this position right now?
One of the reasons is that we are seem to have turned into a transportation community. We have more trucking going on in the city of Brampton now than we ever did, no matter where you look, and that's because of all the warehousing that we have. We have all kinds of warehousing, the big box stores and etc. We have the 2 intermodal terminals that come into Brampton. There's nothing wrong with that. That's all good. That's all good infrastructure to have. But we need to build on that. But we do need to build on some manufacturing facilities in Brampton. We need to build on. We talk about the university. We need to have the university. That's going to create jobs and the type of employment that we want. The one thing, and I wanted to raise it before, was regarding the downtown development. And you talked about if the flood's a problem, raise it up 15 feet, whatever the case may be. The flood control, the Conservation Authority is a creature of the province. So we had to work for years and years and years with the province in order to get this done. It wasn't until we started to call their bluff on a few things that they came to the table, which is sad. We should have been able to do it years ago when Mr. Robertson was the mayor. And he was always trying to rebuild the downtown as well, and it's sad that we're still trying to do that. We actually had to build up some pedestals in order to get in and out of some buildings. I'll use the George Street condo for example. Those people had to buy property at the back in order so they have an escape in the event of flooding. So at least now we're going to be able to redevelop the downtown, and we got that flood control under control. So. We definitely need to do some planning. We definitely need to do the proper planning, as you say, and but we need to work on some good manufacturing.
Thank you, Mr. Sanderson. Mr. Moore, another question for our candidates?
Yeah, this question is for Don McLeod, and it relates to City Council's current decision to remove the surface route for the Huron-Ontario LRT from the downtown Brampton core. Do you support that decision? And additionally, what is your vision for an LRT or alternatives to an LRT in Brampton?
My vision for the LRT is if they want to bring it up, they can bring it up to Steeles. I would actually head west over to the Davis campus, head north on McLaughlin Road. There's an old CP rail line that runs from just past the jail that runs all the way next to the GO station, and it goes up toward past Snellgrove and all the way to Orangeville. It's an existing line. You can fix the line, put another line in there if you need to. The grading is already done. Everything is there. Our ancestors, when they actually built the rail line, they weren't stupid. It ran through all the major towns. And they put it there for a reason, because for them to get goods and services and people to those towns, they could only do it through rail, and they could do it 12 months a year. That rail line is existing. I don't understand why we can't use it. It's already sitting there. The LRT line going through downtown from Steeles along Main into the downtown core makes no sense whatsoever. It's a 2-lane. It's very restrictive. I mean, I know Mr. Sanderson was talking about putting it underground, but you're paying, I think, $1.2 billion per kilometer. It's 3.5 kilometers from that Steeles all the way into the station. That's $4.5–5 billion. If nothing goes wrong, you've got to cut through a floodplain. As he said, you've got the Main Street culvert there. You know, you've got power lines under the main core. There's so many problems, it makes no sense whatsoever. For that amount of money, you could tie into the existing line and run all the way to Orangeville. Now you're planning for the next 50 years, not for 10 years.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. McLeod. Mr. Sanderson, your comments on the LRT and the proposed routes you'd like to see?
Thank you. I do support the LRT coming to Brampton. I don't support it coming through Brampton, through the Main Street, the Heritage District, and also through the downtown. You're absolutely right, Mr. McLeod. I did suggest or made a comment. I didn't suggest, I made a comment that possibly it could be buried from Nanwood Drive and it could come up at Williams Parkway and then carry on to the northern limits of Brampton. As far as going underground, tunneling underground and doing all those tunneling, they just tunnel underneath Niagara Falls. Why can't they tunnel underneath the Tobago Creek? I don't understand that. You know, as far as tunneling underneath the downtown, you're absolutely right. It costs money, and it's Brampton's turn. It's Brampton's turn to have some investment in downtown. We need something that's going to service the downtown, and we need it that it's going to be right for the downtown. We, through the Downtown Business Development Corp, there was, I think, 4 or 5 different options that were put on the table. Our planning department worked on that at the Downtown Development Corp. 4 or 5 different options. Metrolinx never even looked at them. When it come time to look at the options, they never looked at them. They just went along here Ontario Street right down. I got to tell you, when it was first come out, when the Liberal government first put it on the table, it was going to come from Lakeshore Road to the GO station downtown. All of a sudden, I'm talking to Mayor McCallion, and it's only going to the Port Credit GO station. I said, no, I thought it was going to the Lakeshore. She said, it's not coming through our pinch point. It's not coming through our Heritage District. So she was able to get it stopped.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
But we
Sanderson.
can't without being slapped around.
Ms. Jeffrey, the LRT?
So I just want to remind everybody, this council made no decision. So the LRT is stopped at the Brampton-Mississauga border because council couldn't make a decision. They flip-flopped about the decision. So we're not at the table. I just want to, I sat with Metrolinx before I left the province, and I learned something, that what they were trying to do was to connect the GO station with LRT. And right now, they cannot connect our downtown GO station with the LRT because there isn't enough room. So they want us to move it closer to the hospital, which is what I suggested to council a few years ago, and they not so politely told me to go away. So we need to have conversations. They're going to be difficult. We're not going to agree all the time about where we want the transit to be. But we need to have that conversation. We need to talk to all the landowners, all the stakeholders about how to make a better plan. But again, we need to be respectful. We need to have a positive working relationship. Otherwise, we're not at the table. And I want to remind everybody, this council did not make a decision about where or whether LRT would come into Brampton. We need the next council to provide clear direction that we want more transit in Brampton.
Thank you, Ms. Jeffrey. Ms. Bell, your thoughts on the LRT and the route it should take?
Okay, I think it requires a great deal of thought. Only because there's the Metrolinx, that's involved, and then there's a standalone portion that the region are planning to do. I agree that it shouldn't go along here Ontario Street. There must be a better route for it. We really have to think further into the future what would be best for the people who are coming. When I initially looked at it, I was wondering, shouldn't there be some sort of a regional connection with the Metrolinx or with the GO Transit that exists now, so that we can reach people that are farther away from Brampton in other cities and be able to do business with them more easily. And I guess I've been misled because I read on the website for the city that the minister had signed off on August the 25th. So I'll have to go back and recheck that letter that I saw.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. And Mr. Randhawa, your thoughts on the LRT?
For a vibrant city, functioning transportation system is always a necessity. I do not support LRT going through downtown Brampton, as it will create a lot of congestion. It will kill local businesses up there because there is not enough space to put two more lanes and then traffic to go through. Unless we have other solution. I do support LRT coming all the way to Shopper World, and I don't know which direction from there on the route. Other routes must be considered to go through. And considering our population growth is going to be 850 soon, and we must plan ahead, and I believe it's needed, and I support that, but not going through downtown unless province come up with the money that, hey, here's the money, and you guys put it underground.
Thank you, Mr. Randhawa. Mr. Sanderson, you want to comment further?
Yes, I just wanted a clarification. Ms. Jeffrey, did you say you supported it going to the old hospital?
Please.
I think we should connect all transit to all of our services, whether it's a university or a hospital. Yes.
So you said it, so to get to the old hospital, how would you get there? Across the valley land?
I'm not going to speculate how you're going to do it yet, but what I'm telling you is the province hasn't got a deal with the city. The city hasn't provided any leadership on this issue, and you're not at the table. So if you want the GO station to connect to LRT, you need to find a new location, you need to have a conversation with all of the stakeholders, but right now you have no LRT coming into Brampton. We're not at the table.
That's very interesting because we did suggest, some of us did anyways, that it go across and it hook up to the old Peel Memorial Hospital site. And we were told by Metrolinx that they couldn't have a stop at the GO station and another stop there. So that's a little bit interesting. So have to go back and revisit that.
Mr. McLeod?
Well, the plan that I actually just gave forth, that line runs right next to the GO station. So if you run it up McLaughlin Road, tie into that already existing rail line, it's less than 100 meters from the GO station already. So.
Thank you, Mr. McLeod. We have time for one last question. Ms. Crawford, what would you like to ask our candidates?
It's no secret that our community has been in the news a lot lately, and for not the right reasons. As mayor, how would you address the tension and discord that we've seen in our city council that frankly has led to Brampton not having a very positive reputation in the media? As mayor, how would you bring council together, and what would your steps be to create a more united council for the next term?
And who would you like to direct your question to?
We'll start with Mr. Randhawa.
Okay, and in the interest of time, I'm just going to ask the candidates, please keep your answers to about a minute. We need to make sure we wrap up.
There's a very simple solution. Current council, they can't work with each other. They all are alleged to misspend, misused, abused, or taken taxpayers' money. We need elect whole new council, including new mayor, new council. Fire them all. That is a very simple solution. There's one question out there at everybody's door. Every Bramptonian is really concerned of mismanagement and wastage done by City Hall. We have a mayor who we allege that misspent $300,000 or so. But we also have, at the same token, other candidate who has experience mismanaging $1 billion and bringing that experience for Brampton.
Thank you, Mr. Randhawa. We've got to keep things short now. Mr. Sanderson?
Thank you. Well, one of the things that I'm proud of, I had the guts to put the motion forward for the Friends that got it. Because quite frankly, I didn't like what was going on for the last, I'm going to say 14 years at City Hall. That's why I sold my business in order to jump into politics, was to try to clean things up. So you're absolutely right, there is some issues that they need cleaned up. But one of the ways that I would see to get things done in this community is work as a team. You got to work as a team. Not only at City Hall, but you also got to be able to get along with your provincial and federal government, which I have no problem with. I have no problem with whatsoever. I can pick up the phone and I can talk to these people. So you need to have a team atmosphere, and you got to pull one way to get the job done.
Thank you, Mr. Sanderson. Ms. Bell, how would you create a more positive and efficient culture at City Hall?
Well, I would say that if I'm elected mayor, it's a fresh start. I'm not carrying all the baggage that the previous council do have. I have a care and a concern for the community. I represent integrity, creativity, and diversity. And change is good. It's very difficult. It's hard to wrap your head around, but you need to do it. And let's see, when you vote this year, it's all your responsibility. If things stay the same, you get what you paid for.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. Ms. Jeffrey?
Susan, I would agree that this isn't the community that we read about in the papers, is the one that we know. I moved here with my family many years ago and raised my 3 sons. I'm proud of my community. I love it. I was asked to run over the last year to run for mayor, to bring my experience to the table and to run for mayor. We have a lot of good people working at the City of Brampton, and I think they're demoralized. We're going to find out what happens on October 27th, but you need new leadership. You need someone who cares about this community and all parts of it. We have a diverse, strong, generous community, and I know we can do better. So I want people to think about all 4 of your choices on the ballot and how you want who you trust to take the city forward in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jeffrey. And Mr. McLeod?
I think we all, over the last 6 months, have seen just how destructive this entire council and the mayor has been. They haven't worked together. They've been sniping. It's been one big destructive unit. What we need is a mayor that's going to be constructive, not destructive. You have so many different people running in this election. It's probably the biggest amount of people running in this election, and the reason is because of the dysfunction and the misuse of tax dollars that has been going on at City Hall. And that's one of the reasons why you have a lot of people, and that's one of the reasons I decided to run. Because you cannot run a city with a divisive council and a destructive mayor. It's not going to work. It's only going to be problems, and we need to be able to work together to build this city. There's a lot of problems that this city has to overcome. There's a lot of things that have to take place and change over the next 10 to 20 years if this city is going to be a viable, dynamic city. And if they don't, it's going to be a big, big problem, and a lot of people are going to leave this city, and it's not going to be a livable city. What we want is a city that works together, and that's the problem that we've seen over the last 14 years.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. McLeod.
Council hasn't worked together.
Thank you very much.
That's all the time we have for questions from our panel. We're now going to give the candidates an opportunity to make a brief closing statement. We'll go in the reverse order in which we began, which means Ms. Jeffrey, we'll start with you.
I want to thank the Board of Trade, my fellow candidates, and all of you for attending and participating in tonight's debate. Our city is facing a crisis of confidence, whether it be the Pan Am Games opportunity or the risky university strategy. This council has demonstrated a pattern of failure on a number of fronts. My track record as a city councillor and as a cabinet minister speak for itself. I successfully championed for provincial investments in healthcare, education, social services, and transportation for Brampton and Peel. In the coming years, we're going to need real leadership that we trust for the future. On October 27th, you have a decision to make. You can maintain the cloud of corruption that is floating over City Hall, or you can choose change for a better Brampton. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Jeffrey. Mr. Sanderson, your final comments?
Thank you very much, and I'd like to thank the Board of Trade, Sheridan College, and my fellow candidates here as well. Our collective goal is to lead the way on improving our quality of life in our city. To reach our full potential, we need real leadership, someone who is willing to roll up their sleeves and get the job done. Tonight you've heard a lot about building a better Brampton. You've heard a great deal about rhetoric and boasting about what some people are going to do or claim they have done. It's time to walk the talk. What sets me apart, folks, I'm not a career politician. I'm a businessman, someone who has worked his whole life in Brampton and who understands what it takes to deliver results. As your mayor, I'm committed to working with you to create the type of city we can all proudly call our home. Brampton deserves better. So on October 27th, vote John Sanderson.
Thank you, Mr. Sanderson. Mr. McLeod.
This upcoming election on October 27th is probably the most important election in the history of Brampton to date. It will be a watershed moment and will decide how this city is shaped. Will there be continued urban sprawl, or will there be planned healthy communities? Will there be ever worsening gridlock, or there will be faster, better urban transportation and healthier alternatives? Will there be continued low-paying, no-benefit jobs, or will there be solid, good-paying job opportunities for our youth? The voters will have to decide if they are going to elect those professional politicians that have given nothing but empty promises and false rhetoric. Or they can decide to vote for a leader that will lead Brampton into the future. A leader that has a clear vision and the political will to act. Change is difficult, but without it there is no progress. It's time to act. Enough talk, it's time to act. On October 27th, a vote for Donald McLeod for Mayor of Brampton is a vote for the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. McLeod. Mr. Randhawa.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank Brampton Board of Trade for giving me opportunity to share my vision with the Bramptonians. It's time for change. Now we heard all the problems, and it's time to find a solution. In this election, you find three type of choices. There are politicians under the cloud. There are recycled politicians who proven to be not stand for you when they had opportunity. And there are politicians where you can start with a fresh choice. And there are many of them. It's time for real change that reflect this community, real change that reflect the diversity of this city, real change that reflect the programs this city needs for the changing community. I promise I will work hard for every single taxpayer dollar so you get the best value of your dollar. I will work hard to bring opportunities to Brampton. I will immediately start working toward university upon getting elected on October 27. Vote for real leadership. Vote for Mayor for Taxpayer. Vote Hargeet Randhawa. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Randhawa. And Ms. Bell, the last word is yours.
As I said in my opening, I see Brampton as an internationally known city. I have lived in Vancouver. I've lived in the Cayman Islands, two highly rated cities and a country when it comes to livability and business investment. So I bring that sort of mindset and background to this responsibility. The City of Brampton is a corporation, it's a business. Perhaps it has an extra zero on the dollar value of the responsibility, but it's still a business where you are responsible in this situation to constituents, to people, investors, because it's their money. I represent a fresh start for all stakeholders. They don't have to worry about the baggage of, oh, I can't deal with this person in a meeting, oh, I can't talk to that person, oh, that person is this way. It's a fresh start. I don't usually have a problem with dealing with people. I don't usually have a problem with dealing with other people's checkbooks. I've had it before and I had no problem.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. That's your time. Thank you very much.
This brings our debate to a close. I'd like to thank our candidates for their thick skins and good humor, our panelists for their participation, and of course you, our viewers and our audience, for joining us today. We trust you found the discussion to be enlightening. On behalf of the Brampton Board of Trade, we'd like to once again thank Sheridan College for their support in making this event happen, specifically Dr. Jeff Zabudsky in the Office of the President, Karen Richard from Conference and Event Services, Pranch Murphy from the production house, Dan Casey from our great venue tonight, and of course their teams. Can we please have a round of applause for those folks? Thank you, Sheridan College. In addition, we'd like to thank the staff and volunteers for the Brampton Board of Trade for all their efforts in coordinating tonight's event. Please be sure to complete your exit survey before leaving tonight. There's a table at the back where you can collect them. Borrow pens, share pens. We want to know your thoughts, and we will make sure that we post the results online. Finally, please join the Brampton Board of Trade this Thursday, October 2nd, for a unique opportunity, a luncheon and a Q&A with Prime Minister Stephen Harper. Sure to be a unique afternoon. Registration and details are available on our Board of Trade website at bramptonbot.com. Thank you once again for watching, and please be sure to vote.